Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I'm very happy to be here with my co-host and the host of Nourish Your Soul TV, Michelle Copeland. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Alan Steinfeld. It's such a blessing to have you.
It's our first show together.
In the house together.
In the house, in the studio. And we do have a very special guest.
Yes, we do.
And it's someone you brought to the world's attention. Why don't you introduce him, because he's sort of your person.
Yes.
I mean, I like him too, but he's your person. He's a good guy. So go ahead. Who do we have here?
So I am passionate and excited to announce my friend Tyler Ellison, who channels a being called Riok from the Essesani civilization. I'm very passionate about sharing the Essesani's message of love and how the world works, and so that people can upgrade their reality and their experience and bringing that to mainstream. So I've joined in collaboration with my beloved friend Alan Steinfeld to have a show that we can bring to mainstream.
Right, and we're starting with Tyler here because Tyler is a multi-purpose channel. Actually, no, so Michelle talked about Riok, who's Essesani. If you've seen my Bashar video, which has like 500,000 views, it's pretty amazing.
Yes.
Bashar says he's channeled by Daryl Anka, and he's a being from the future, a hybrid being who's 300 years in the future in a kind of a parallel universe. And Riok is of that same civilization?
Yeah, Riok identifies as a being from that same civilization known as the Essesani.
Is he friends with Bashar?
They're not necessarily in projects together. They're in separate projects. So
Are they existing in the same time frame?
Same time frame, but
so
different projects.
They are contemporaries?
They are contemporaries, yeah.
But they have different specialties.
But they know each other?
Yeah, they're aware of each other. Yeah, Bashar's commented on Riok before, and Riok's commented on Bashar before. So they have awarenesses of one another.
Okay.
The interesting thing is that Bashar is more focused as a first contact specialist and conveying that information and bring it forward, and whereas Riok is more specialized in the hybridization program and that of the hybrid children.
Right. But before we get to Riok and all that, I'd like to know your background in channeling, because I've been exposed to channeling for the last 25 years, so I'm a bit of a channeling snob.
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean, I just, everyone says they channel, and it's like, really? And I'm not saying you don't, but I want to know your orientation to channeling. And I liked what you were doing the other day, but
sure.
How did you get into this?
So I started getting into channeling specifically through listening to channeled content and then relaying what I had heard. So I would listen to Bashar or other channels, and then I'd be around people who weren't familiar with those concepts, but I wanted to share them to those people. So I would start explaining the concepts, and when I would explain them, I would enter into the same state of being as the channel that I had received them
Really?
from.
That's interesting.
So I would start doing like mannerisms, I would have hand mudras that would start happening, and I would just like go into it as if I wasn't even in the room anymore. It was.
Do you think anyone who relayed those concepts would start to channel that, or it's the vibration of the message?
I think it's both. I think it's the vibration of the message, but I also think because we've heard these messages through channels, that when we're relaying that message, we're also tapping into the channeling state that the message came from. So we're getting both the vibration of the message and what it is to channel.
That's interesting. So then, but something then happened at some point, right, where it took over.
Yeah. I started wanting to channel, not so much for like delivering extraterrestrial messages, but more so to write stories. I wanted to do creative writing, and I wanted to see if I could channel a whole fictional book, where it was like not really me creating it, but it was me just allowing information to come through. And I was writing a book I was really impressed with. I feel like it was just the best of my imagination. And I eventually got writer's block with it, where I was like, oh man, I feel like I'm judging it, and it started to stagnate. So I took time off, and then I had a really impactful dream where I felt the symbolism was very profound. The feeling states from the dream were incredibly profound. I woke up from the dream with this overwhelming state of unconditional love. It was like seamless. Like I was dreaming one second, and the feeling just carried me into the wakeful state. And I woke up like, whoa, this is really, really powerful. So. And
then when did you actually start to, channel, like lose consciousness or shift consciousness and bring in?
That was when I went to interpret that dream. So I went to the channeling state through some exercises I had learned.
Like what kind of exercises? Because I'm sure people want to know what you do.
Sure. So I mean, at the time I was using a different technique than I was doing now, but it very much involved meditating on certain symbols.
Geometric symbols?
Yeah, exactly. And they would represent the vibration of whatever the consciousness would be that I'd want to tap into.
Wow. How did you discover him and his...
Well, for a couple of years, I've been following Bashar since 2014, and then your interview really touched my awakening with Bashar, and introduced me to Paul O. And then I had just had this, strong, I took it deeper with the Essesani, and I actually found him with another interview that he had done, and I reached out to contact Tyler because I wanted to have him on Nourish Your Soul TV, and express to him, look, I have this vision and dream to actually take the Essesani message and bring it to a larger audience, and he was like totally, interested in collaborating and working together to do that.
I mean, the Essesani, like I said, they're 300 years in the future. They're a hybridization of humans and the little grays. And what else do you know about that civilization from, like, the inside? What could you say? What do they look like? What does the whole thing look like? Yeah.
So they're a bit taller than the grays, more compassionate, more heart-based, and more so here to sort of repay the favor that we've all provided through sharing DNA, which has led to their creation. So
I donated my DNA personally.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm like 90% sure this is also
right
for myself as well.
So they're physical still, right?
They're in a quasi-physical state, so they're still in the fourth dimension, but they're in the upper echelon of the fourth dimension.
Do you see them when you're how do you know that? I mean, how do you get that picture of them?
So this is information that's provided from other channels. This is also information that Riok will provide to me while I'm in the state.
But have you ever seen them?
I haven't seen them in person with my own physical eyes.
Well, do you want them to manifest today?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, go ahead. You work on that, Michelle.
Okay, all right, yeah, sure.
I also want to say you're doing a series together online. Just say some.
Yes, we actually started the first contactee training program that we've launched together, which will be with Riok, Tyler, and myself, to take people deeper into getting in touch with themselves, making contact with themselves, knowing yourself, which is critical and most important, seeing yourself as being equal to these extraterrestrial beings. If we are to further contact, we must actually see ourselves as being equal to them. And also heightening our telepathic skills, our sensitivities, and also getting in touch with our beliefs, and dismantling our negative beliefs that may prevent us from having these types of experiences that we desire.
And then where do we find that online?
You can actually find that on nourishyoursoul.tv.com, and then there's two different websites, nourishyoursoul.tv.com, and then there's nourishyoursoul.tv.
So Tyler, besides Riok, you channel...
A great deal of other beings. So I've been able to bring through feline Lyran beings.
Really? I'd like to. I've never met a Lyran.
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous.
Are they nice people, the Lyrans?
I've
heard
they're very nice. Yeah, very mysterious too. They have mysterious. Yeah. When I was channeling one, it was describing how it would shapeshift in human dreams.
Oh yeah, let's talk to some Lyrans today.
I would love to talk to some Lyrans.
Yeah,
I love the cat race.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Lyrans are cat people.
Yeah, not all of them, but
I had a dream about my cat last night.
They were, I did.
I dreamt there were two of them. I dreamt that there were two. Anyway, we'll get into.
Synchronicity.
Wait, you haven't been doing this very long, though, right?
I've been vocally channeling since 2015.
So about 4 years.
About 4 years, and there's been months where I've been practicing. I've been doing it daily. I just do it daily and record myself.
And when did you realize you could do any channel other beings besides? Was Riok the first?
No, Riok wasn't the first. The first being I ever channeled was named Mira from the Pleiades, and I started using a contact symbol for the Pleiadians, started letting it come out, and then I cross-checked it.
What's a contact symbol?
So this is a symbol that's been channeled that is like an energetic telephone number for a civilization.
What does that look like?
So the Pleiadian one I was using, this was done through a Bashar channel. It was a blue circle with 7 white circles within it. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, 3 in the middle.
It reminds me, maybe crop circles are cosmic telephone numbers of certain civilizations as well.
I definitely feel this.
I've never heard it described that way. That's really interesting. Yeah. So you start to focus on the symbol, and you start to get the
symbol, meditate on the symbol. One other thing I was utilizing, this is a little different, but another thing I was utilizing to really make contact with these beings is I would astral travel. I would shoot my astral body out and fly to the civilizations and then do energy exchanges with the beings and bring the astral body back in. So I'd have like an energetic familiarity with
You're
these
like
beings.
a crystal child grown up, right? I mean, you're like...
Essentially, I think they call me an indigo, but I'm not picky.
But you're like the awakened indigo. I mean, because a lot of people just kind of go mindlessly, even if they are indigos. But
I just want to say something about the crop
Sure.
circles. I was at this is back in my 20s. I was at a workshop. They were discussing crop circles. And I literally had the experience, telepathic ability. I felt there was ET beings behind me, and I literally like saw like ET, like gray type beings, and they conveyed to me that the crop circles are actually language of light encoding for the DNA. That was what I heard.
Oh yeah, thank you. We're going to talk about DNA, and we're going to do a real channeling right here, which is always exciting when people are channeling on the program. That's like, wow, we're really talking to another level of consciousness.
300 years into the future.
At least.
At least, yeah, I know.
But one thing I want to say is that it seems to me the level of information that comes through is related to the level of consciousness of the channeler.
Yeah.
So as you evolve, the channel deepens.
Channeling evolves, and as I've done more live events and things like this, the channelings, I've like watched it deepen overnight, where I'm like, oh, this is very different than how I remember it being. So
I want to hear from everyone that you have contact with, but how do you know they're all positive? How do you know you're not calling on some?
I love that
a wonderful question.
so
I love
much.
that. Thank you for asking that.
So I've evolved my own way of accessing the channeling state, and what I do before I go in is generate a really powerful state of love, joy, happiness, and then as I expand the aura up into the more astral realms and higher realms to connect with these beings, that's the energy I'm shooting up there. So whatever I'm connected to has to be a match for
How'd
that.
you learn that? That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I study a lot of Taoist meditations, a lot of the Montauk Chia work I've been a huge fan of. And
Me too.
Yeah, I practice daily with that.
Me too. There's microcosmic orbit, yes.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The inner smile, all that, Montauk Chia,
Yeah.
Great. And the Taoists themselves were probably, I think, one of the most evolved levels of consciousness there are. They became the true immortals, the Taoist consciousness.
I would agree. So that's my intro.
Great. So who would you? Do you want to? Okay, let's jump into the pool.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Enough just getting wet. I mean, but
sure.
But who do you want? Do you have an order? You want to hear from Riok? But I'd like to hear from other people.
I want to hear from the Lyran
species. Do you focus on what you want to hear from, or just let whatever wants to come through, come through?
I go with which one I'm more excited to contact, and I'll also gauge that with whoever I'm with. So if somebody's like, hey, I really want to talk to this, it's like, well, we can do it, so might as well set it up.
So who do you feel like talking to now?
So this is where we all kind of geeked out about Lyrans. We should definitely communicate.
All right,
with
do you
them.
want to talk to them first? Or Riok first? You have to talk to Riok because she has a special interest in Riok.
Okay.
And then we'll call the Lyrans in. But what I did with Daryl, though he really didn't do it when he channeled Bashar, is to talk us through the process of connection. That's always fascinating to me. So what happens inside your mind as you start to make that channel connect?
So what happens to me is I go into it with visualizations first. So I'm just imagining energies around me that are very supportive.
Well, could you do it? Tell us why you're doing it, or does that throw you off, like as you start to channel?
Oh, that's really interesting. I could.
Yeah, why don't you try that?
Yeah, so... Yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see how that works.
Okay.
I like it.
Just
I like
before
it.
we continue, the background's not moving.
That's okay.
Okay.
Anyway, here, but you're a little off camera. Come closer to Michelle and come closer a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so what now, just so people at home, what are you doing right now to get in that
so I'm
state?
doing the Tao technique, the inner smile, and I'm bringing in the three major minds into one. So I'm inner smiling to the brain.
Okay.
I bring it into the heart and then into the belly. So I'm just centering all my energy into the lower dantian. And then here I'm connecting to the elemental energies around me. So I smile in front, representing fire. So I see red, smile in front. Same thing for the back, smiling there, blue, green to the left, white to the right, yellow above, and have animal spirits there. then bringing in a dome of fire that insulates all of the energy and packs it. So the aura is now programmed with all of this. So even now, I'm in a loose channeling state,
Right,
so I'm
I
not
see.
really paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm just
That's
letting
fine.
it come through.
Let-
And then from there, I ground in. So I like to imagine a bagua in the belly. And a lot of this is stuff a lot of my Tao teachers have taught me,
Right.
so I'm very lucky to have the techniques. And then bring that down to the perineum, to the knees, to the balls of the feet, shooting them down into the earth, deeper, rooting, and even spiraling the energy ball down there to gather in the local energies. And then bring the awareness back to the Dantian. So I've rooted in, auric field opened around me, inhaling into the directional spaces. So feeling how the abdomen can expand on all sides, feeling how I'm connecting to all of that. And then I bring the tiniest amount of energy from the Dantian upwards up the central channel to the crown. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to bring it from the crown up to the soul star chakra right above. So this is where the higher self and soul has a great deal of accessibility to our aura. So connecting there. And then I begin to connect to different celestial bodies that are above. So I just bring them up, connecting to the celestial bodies. And some of the major ones in the Tao are ones like the moon, the sun, Saturn. And they're really into the pole stars, so I like to use the pole stars. And from there, going all the way up from the pole stars to source. So imagining just as infinite as you can imagine, and however your imagination conceptualizes that. And once it's in source, multiplying it with different energies, different intentions. Inner smiling into source so that it multiplies the inner smile. And then bringing lines down from source, and I plug it into the crown, and then into the brain, into the pineal gland. So imagining lines are just coming down, plugging in, into the back of the throat, into the vocal cords, front of the throat, heart, Dantian. And from here, I've programmed the major energy centers of my body to be in resonance with all of these different forces, and they're aligned with the source energy. So even at this point, without directly focusing on an ET, I can remain in a loose channeling state, and I'm channeling more from a expanded point of view of my own self. So I could even have a conversation from this level, and it wouldn't necessarily be an ET. It would simply be more of my own infinite awareness.
What happens when you call the ET in?
That's when more diverse personas will show up. So right now I would continue with this type of persona, which is again an aspect of me, but more expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And when the ET shows up, that's when things like voice changes will come in, and that's when things like different takes on history, different understandings of physics, different understandings of skills and skill development and so on, that's when all of that will come through. And normally my voice will change to really emphasize that it's another consciousness.
So how would you call on Riok? How do you get him?
So what I would do is imagine the Essesani contact symbol, and there's many different symbols you can use. Bashar Communications has provided some. There's also some you can download on your own through your own intuition. So I'll use different symbols, and I'll connect to that symbol. So it's like the symbol's in front of me, and then as I was bringing lines of light downward to connect to me, I'll bring a line of light downward to connect into the contact symbol. And once it's been connected to the contact symbol, then I start to relax and relax and relax, and I'll start to have an inner dialogue with my guide right beforehand. So once it's plugged in there, sometimes I'll imagine the contact symbol inside of me. Sometimes I'll imagine Riok inside of me. And I'll ask him, I'll be like, all right, Riok, I want to have like a very powerful session with you. Do you have any recommendations for me before I start? And he'll give me little tidbits to focus upon so I can stay rooted and anchored in the state. And he'll also take my unique energy in the moment into consideration so I can balance it in a way that's supportive for where he's coming from.
So can you do that now, but out loud, if you don't mind? Okay, sure.
So I'm asking right now where I should focus. He's saying focus on the crown, third eye, Dantian, and perineum. And he'll give me these areas, and normally one of them will be the more important one to focus on, but they'll all have a synergy together. So I'm largely focusing on the perineum because it's a very powerful grounding point, and I've been using that the whole trip actually because it's been so high energy and high movement based. So focusing on the perineum. And then from here, it starts to become automatic. This is where I have to begin to let go.
That's okay.
In order for it to really come through. And
you've done a lot already. So
yeah, so I start just breathing at this point. And once the breathing reaches a critical mass, the throat just like pops open, and then that personality just comes out.
Okay, let's go for it.
We are awakening to a long forgotten memory. Dawn is breaking, waves are coming in, and everybody